Hello, everyone, and welcome. We're so glad that you can join us today. In this session, we're going to explore how Microsoft Copilot can support your teaching and your course development and even your everyday academic workflow here at UMass Boston. Our goal is to keep things practical and hands-on. We'll show you a few simple ways that you can access Copilot securely with your UMB account. Walk you through some basic interface and share prompt examples that faculty can use across campus and also that staff could use. Whether you're brand new to AI tools or you've been experimenting with them for a while, today is all about giving you ideas, saving you time, and helping you build confidence in how Copilot can work alongside you as a teaching and academic partner. So before we dive in, I want to briefly highlight what we'll focus on today. First, we'll introduce Copilot and its core capabilities, specifically how it can support teaching, content creation, feedback, and course design within an educational context. Second, we'll look at practical applications. We'll show you real examples of how Copilot can help you streamline your work, from generating materials to rethinking assignments or projects. And third, we'll end the session by basically talking about what your experience is and hopefully empowering you to integrate Copilot into your own workflow, whether you're preparing lectures, designing assessments, managing communication or projects. So these objectives will guide us throughout the session.
So the next part I want to introduce is the basic things like how to log in to Copilot with UMB account. This is very important because we want to access the Copilot through our enterprise licensed portal, not the free public version. So this ensures that when you're using Copilot, you're using a secure campus-approved environment that can protect both your data and your student data. So the straightforward way is just to go to the UMB Copilot page, and you will see that there is a login button. And once you click on it, it will sign in you with your UMB credentials, and then you're landing in the Copilot chat, the Copilot interface. And my favorite way to log in is actually not this way, but access Copilot from my UMB email because I'm using the email all the time. So it's very convenient when I doing a work email. I want to using the Copilot right away to help me draft my emails. So at here, it's very easy that you can access the Copilot through the icon on the top right, as well as the icon from the left. So if I want to start a new conversation, I would click on this little icon from the left. If I want to draft a specific response to one of the emails, I can click on this email and then click on the top right button to help me enhance my response. So this is the same way and more convenient for me when I access the Copilot. I will see the interface here. While we're here, we can take a look at the interface. You will see that from the left side is your previous conversation with Copilot. You can easily click on the three dots next to any of the conversations to rename it to just to give you an idea what is this previous conversation about. And if you want to keep the conversation going, you can navigate to the previous one. And in the main area on the right is where you can start a new chat with Copilot. And you can just type in your questions from this box. And from the plus button, You can also upload your files from your device, or you can um, attach the cloud file from your OneDrive. So it's all because this is one of the integrated Microsoft apps, so it works very well from with other Microsoft apps. So that's it. That's a very quick overview of the secure way to log into Copilot at UMB and a brief tour of the chat interface. In the next session, we're going to show you some examples that you can use right away. So this including two awesome prompt examples. The first one is focused on when we develop the training contents for the accessibility training. We use Copilot to help us to develop very nice question sets. So I use these prompts to use attach the accessibility training document to have the Copilot to give me a variety of question types. And this works very successfully because in these prompts, I specify like which source they use the accessibility training document, and I be very specific how many questions I need. This is a little bit tips for you if you want to have achieve your goals to have like a certain number of questions. It's better to ask more than you need so that it lists out all the questions and for you to select from it. And I specify the formats like the true false, multiple choice, and open-ended question type. And it's very important that we want to provide with them with source file. For example, in this case, it's the accessibility training document. I want the question are all coming from the source file I provided to Copilot. So this type of prompt is great for building the knowledge checks, the quiz banks, review the activities, and develop the formative assessments. And because Copilot is working from the materials I provided, the outcomes stays very aligned with what I teach for the training. And you definitely can keep refine the conversation further. You don't have to stop there. You can adjust the difficulties after you review the questions Copilot provided for you, and you can change your tone and you can ask it to align the questions with Bloom's levels. And the second prompt is from an authentic examples where I was working with nursing faculty that we want to redesign a weekly assignment out from a project, out from a group project. So I use this prompts. This prompts works because it clearly defines the goals, but still keep the original learning objectives intact and also maintain a fair weekly workload. And again, the Copilot must use the materials I provided, such as the project descriptions and the original group project write-up and the syllabus and all the learning objectives and the outlines from this project. And the faculty can use this approach when they want to convert complex work into an individual alternatives assessment. And they can use this prompt, similar prompt to scaffold a large assessment into smaller milestones. And also, if you want to improve the workflow, the workload balance, you can also draft a similar prompts as this one. And if you want to support the students who need the structure week by week. Yeah, so these two examples show how effectively The prompting can save time while improving the clarity and alignment. The key for me to doing this prompting testing is that you want to be specific and you want to include your source document and you want to tell the Copilot the structure you want. And this part, I want to give you a quick overview of the variety of tasks faculty currently use Copilot for. This including for example, generate the rubrics and assessment criteria and grading frameworks. You can use Copilot to summarize the discipline trends or condensing the complex materials for lectures. And you can produce the discussion prompts tied to the weekly readings or the course themes. And you can use Copilot to draft the constructive and inclusive feedback for your student work. You can redesign the activities, scaffolding the assignments, or creating alternative formats. Overall, the Copilot is most helpful as a thinking partner, and it speed up the driving process while helping you maintain the alignment with your course goals. Um, and here, I want to pause here and open things up to you. If anyone is willing, I'd love to hear more about your experience using Copilot in your teaching, and you can share what you have been doing with Copilot so far and what kinds of tasks has using Copilot really helped you, and what's your best practice have you discovered along the way? Please feel free to share everything, your success, surprises, and challenges, because what you share here might help others in the room. Please feel free.
I've only been using Copilot a short time because I started before UMass Boston had its own enterprise version. So
Mhm.
I've been using an enterprise version of Claude. So I've only recently started experimenting with Copilot. But that and I haven't I'm still working out some of the ways to I think to integrate this into the class, but I have made some specific I did have it help me draft like specific terminology, essentially terminology handouts for specialized terminology um, that was helpful for students. And it's information that I knew and I could have um, written out, but it speeded up the process and gave me a document to work off of. Um, I've also used it to help clarify learning objectives for the class, and particularly around writing. Like one of the issues with the AI is like, how do we clarify the student's use of AI versus our kind of writing and learning objectives? And so I've found that trying to be much more specific and concrete about learning objectives is one of the ways to help kind of deal with the issues of AI in the classroom. And I've tried to actually use the AI some to help me kind of parse that out a little. Um, I find the notion of using this for grading or feedback for the students to be pretty horrifying, honestly. So, so two of the generating the rubric for the papers or feedback on assignments. I find that actually pretty scary. Uh, and but we're still getting there, I guess.
It's scary because it's good or scary because it's bad?
Oh, well, the ultimate dystopian version of this is that the students write it with AI, I grade it with AI, and then provide them feedback with the AI, and we've short-circuited the entire project completely. So, I'm scared of it as avoiding the dystopian version of this.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. It's all good examples. In the morning course, incidentally, I read AI training from the Google. It says that when we using AI, we suppose like we're still in the driver's seat. Like when you want to using the AI for certain task, primarily you are still the decision maker and you're using your expertise to make the judgment and you control everything. So like yesterday we have a participant faculty shared examples of like using the Copilot to provide feedback for students. And her experience is that um, she kind of uploads uh, the source materials like the rubric and assessment and be very specific what part of the scaffolding and the aspects want to focus on and for the students. And she introduced a little bit about the students like more personalized in this assessment process. And but in the end, the faculty member is very involved in the process. It's not just automating or outsourcing the things to AI. So it's the concept is that you're still taking control of everything and you're making your expertise like more effectively involved in this process of providing the feedback.
Another thing I just want to suggest, because I have an assignment running right now with my students that I have encouraged them to use AI in the beginning part of the assignment. However, also double check with their own research and analyze the experience of using AI to gather the initial data for the assignment. Um, I think in doing that, what we're doing is we're teaching them the value of the tool, the limitations of the tool, and how they can perhaps use that in the workplace once they graduate. So um, if we're incorporating it into assignments, um, we're taking more of a proactive approach, is my perspective on using it as a tool and for what it's worth and what issues that could arise when using it. Because if we don't teach that and then our students graduate and they're in the workplace and they're using the tool not really fully understanding the limitations of the tool, that could be very problematic for them. Anybody else have experience or comments they want to
Yeah,
share
Jenna want to share.
Okay.
Uh, I will confess I have not used AI. Um, but I did, I'm sorry, I missed the name, but I liked what the previous attendee said about using it as a draft to work off of, right? So there's always a human in the loop. You're just getting like kind of a rough draft and you finalize it. But what I was wondering is if any faculty have used AI to accommodate individual students' needs. And how, if you're in conversation with the Ross Center, and kind of the ethics around that as well, like where's the line between using or having a student use AI to help them be successful in the class without doing the class for them.
So are you speaking, what type of accommodation are you speaking of? On note taking or which kind, like is there a specific accommodation that you're
Right. That's a good question. I was talking to a colleague this morning and she was telling me about a student she had who um, just constantly asked questions, needed clarification, and how it was distracting for the other students, and the other students were getting frustrated because they wanted to move on and it was slowing the class down. So that's one example I was thinking of. But there's probably other examples where maybe a student benefits from um, material being broken down into chunks, or is more of an audio learner, and so forth. I was just wondering if faculty have used it in that way.
Anyone in the room can speak to that?
I do not know if I can speak directly to your question around in terms of inclusion. I use it a lot to, I think there's a course that I've been teaching for decades, and now I don't use Copilot for this, although I'm beginning to use it because Copilot is embedded in the Word, system. So it's more practical in a way. With the other ones, with Claude or with ChatGPT, I find that I have to do a lot of copy and paste kind of thing. But it, one of the things that it has been helpful with is sort of like being able to have a conversation with someone to check if what I'm doing makes sense at a particular time with a certain group of students. If there's an issue, for instance, like that, if I had that question about a student interrupting or slowing things down, I will directly ask what to do to my AI agent. And since the AI agent also starts to know you and how you think, it becomes more accurate. I mean, this is the reason I ask about if it's scary in a good way or in a bad way. And then I find that in the last 6 months, these models have become so damn sophisticated. And also, I assume one is more able to prompt them in a better way, that I find those conversations incredibly helpful in terms of helping me to think, look, this is what is happening in my class. This is what I'm finding, and when I don't know what to do about it so that I accommodate to students, and because we always have students we need to accommodate, gives me some very interesting advice about how to include while at the same time include the rest of the students, for instance, or how not to get annoyed and prepare in advance, even preparing some handouts that are particular for that person that I can just send. One of the things he said is, okay, so tell the students that you're going to send them something very specific after the class, and these models will prepare it in about 30 seconds. So it's easy to do. Although I need to read them, I find myself reading less carefully what these models are doing because they're becoming more sophisticated. They're less prone to errors. Yeah. So that's what I'm finding. I mean, and I was going to ask you, but I actually did ask my agent what is the difference between this Copilot and the others. And so it seems like the main difference is that Copilot is more practical, more business oriented and embedded, and the other ones are more consulting kind of thing. And I don't know if that is your experience or if others have thoughts about that.
Yeah, definitely there are a variety of AI tools, but Copilot is an enterprise license. So the benefit of using it is because the we have UMB have the license protection from this tool, so your data is secure and your students' data is also secure. But other tools is not guaranteed. And Copilot specifically, their security terms said that they won't use your personal data to train their model. So this is very reliable term that you can trust this tool that not using your data to better their own model. So and the other benefit is that, like you already mentioned, that it's integrated with all the emails and the Microsoft software. It's like reduce a lot of copy and pasting, right? So, for example, if you're drafting a Word document, you can click on the Copilot icon and will highlight a certain text and then have the Copilot to help you on a certain task. While if you're using other AI, you have to like copy pasting the back forth and it's just to have more redundant steps.
And also Jana asked, I believe that was you, Jana, yes. Is Copilot FERPA compliant? And I did just throw that into a search and it said it can be FERPA compliant, but only when used with the appropriate enterprise or education subscription, which is what we're pretty much doing. So I believe, you know, that could be, but I think with any tool, FERPA compliance depends on your use and your discretion in terms of what you're putting into the tool. So I wouldn't, you know, across the board say I can use this and put names and do all this stuff. I would still follow your own FERPA compliance rules.
We can definitely follow up with you about the regarding your concerns and
Great.
your examples. But we're about to moving on for the rest of the presentations, and we'll let Linda control the next part. Yeah.
Okay. So do I have, oh yes, I'm not muted. Good. Now we just wanted to take a look at a couple prompt examples that are especially useful for staff or research workflows or special projects that you may be working on. First, a Copilot can help you outline steps for completing a project. So especially when you're given a topic with a timeline, let's say not so much structure. So maybe you have like dates, time, and the purpose of the event, you can generate a prompt to ask for a specific outline and a time frame. And like, what would be your suggested time frame in completing this, given the work that I have to do on this project? So another example, if you're planning, say, a residence life onboarding or a training for new graduate assistants or TAs, Copilot could break down that work into phases: pre-planning, communication, materials development, scheduling. But you need to be specific in your prompting and what you're asking it for is what's important in that. Second, Copilot is great for drafting or reviewing professional emails. You can prompt it to write or revise an email. Say you're sending this email, it's really important, and you're like, I don't want to mess this up. You could ask Copilot to proofread it or to revise it, giving a requested tone for the email. Or for example, if there was an email that came in, I could say, please reply in agreement using a professional, welcoming tone with urgency, you know, and then see what Copilot comes up with for you. If you can edit that, and then it makes your job a lot easier and to get through your emails a lot more quickly. So these kinds of prompts make everyday tasks a lot faster. And I have the two examples right there that I just discussed. On the next slide, I have some more examples. So drafting announcements for an event. But if you could just give a Copilot the location, date, RSVP details, and any key information that you want highlighted, it's great for adding information in newsletters or campus updates or internal communication about there might be something you're coordinating, whether it's like a writing group or something like that. It can also summarize meeting minutes. I know that we have the ability to, when we turn on captioning in Zoom, it will give us a transcript that you can download of a session, but you can take that transcript and then put it through Copilot and say, could you please summarize this with including a checklist or next steps in the meeting or the overview of the meeting. So there are quite a few things you can do. Also, the last thing is generating a template email for responding to general student inquiries about campus resources, or maybe like a general, not necessarily campus resources, but from a faculty perspective of your availability for office hours or something like that. So there are many different ways that you can use it in and outside of class activities that that could make your day and your workload a lot lighter and your day go by with a little more focus to the projects that you really want to work on. Melanie, do you have any thoughts on that as well?
Yeah, so I'm using Copilot not only for teaching and learning, I'm using it for all daily like tasks, like automate my workflow. And this is some probably more advanced topics that I'm creating the agent in the Copilot. I'm trying to start to create a workflow if I'm using it for every day, like to summarize like what's the working hours I spend on different areas. For example, I create an agent and then I just need to log um, like the provide very brief summary and it will calculate, okay, I spent like 3 hours daily, like yeah, in a course development and spend like another 2 hours for consult. And you will give me a very nice summary of it. In the end, for example, like in the end of Friday, and if I can ask the agent to give me an average hours um, bi-weekly, like I using on different tasks. So this is more kind of like helpful when I want to really analysis my working priorities. And I want to really shifting my priorities. So this is something that I rely on my Copilot to help me doing. Yeah, so I know that we're wrapping up, but feel free to reach out if you have any question regarding using Copilot in your curriculum. For example, you want to us to help you to crafting prompts or like support anything specific, like you have a project you want to use Copilot for, and you want us to brainstorm the idea with you and work through the best practice. Feel free to connect with us and send us an email and book a consult with us. And like I said, the security, you want to learn more about security, definitely email Dak Roland. It's already in the chat, Dak's email. Definitely have more in-depth conversation with Dak to learn more about the security aspects from the for the Copilot.